Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chaotic Crossover. Today, where the host becomes the student, because Will is going to be teaching me with his teaching skills about comic books. Because, as you all know, based on any of our videos so far, we're nerds. But I'm the type of nerd that doesn't know how to read. So Will is going to read for me. I do know how
That's
to
right.
read. I just don't. I think reading with pictures is lazy. I like to read real books.
Well, dyslexia. It's a hell of a drug. Anyway. All right, kiddos. So,
Well, what are we happening to do? What are we doing?
So, that's a great question, AJ. And let me tell you, and the kiddos at home, today we're reading about one of the most renowned crossovers between DC and Marvel. And by I say most renowned, I mean the only one that I found available in print. And that is Batman and Captain America by John Byrne. Did the story and the art with inking by Patricia Mulvihill. It's a really good story. I believe this came out in the 90s, if I'm correct. So this was kind of like when crossovers were really kicking off. But yeah, it's really cool because the way this story is that it doesn't take place like whenever it was published, where it was like Batman and Captain America were sort of grungy and dealing with like modern issues. It takes place in 1945. So that's when the stories for Captain America and Batman were going on. So it's those characters from 1945.
Okay. So, Will, my first question is, like, I mean, there's a couple Marvel DC crossovers. Usually they're like big events, but like, how? Because we know Captain America and Batman are in different universes usually. How do they take those two characters? How do they meet? How does that happen?
So that's a great question, AJ. So the first answer, and the quicker one, is financial and creative bankruptcy. But the longer answer, no. But seriously, during the 90s, Marvel and DC were actually kind of struggling at the time. Marvel had actually been bankrupt, and DC was sort of struggling too because of this all-new comic book industry known as Image, where you get things like Spawn, or where the show Invincible comes from. That was published in Image. So some stories like that are kind of like more extreme, and they get to say the F word, and every now and then you'll see a little bit more of a boobie than you did like in Marvel and DC comics.
Dude, basically Marvel DC heroes, they're wearing pasties, so like I can't imagine any more boobie than that.
Exactly. But with this one, the thing about John Byrne is that he had worked at both Marvel and DC over the years. He's actually really known for his work on Superman, especially post Crisis on Infinite Earths, when they were recreating Superman and trying to make him a little bit more modern. That's who they went to. But he is really good at story, especially when it's like classic heroes. And his art style, although I think he might have cleaned it up even more for this, it harkens very much to the classic era. Like when he puts this in 1945, he also makes the art pop off. Like it looks like a Dick Sprang, like Batman, like very cartoony sort of vibe to it. But the way that they do this, it's not like, gee willikers, Batman, we're going through a time portal. That's right, chum. No, instead, what happens is that they just take away all pretenses. Just, there is America, and there is also Gotham is somewhere in the United States. So they are just like, Captain America and Batman exist in the same world, and we don't have to worry about anything else. We're just saying this is a universe in the multiverse that they can do that. And this is actually under the label Elseworld at the bottom right-hand corner of this. So it's known that it is not canon. Unlike the Marvel DC crossover, which was kind of a big thing in the 90s as well,
right?
Where, both publishers decided to put it together, and that was, we're going through a time portal, and the Flash can't use
time warp again. And
It's just a
copyright
jump to the left. um, but yeah, where we start off, I guess we'll get right into it. But where we start off in this story is in Gotham, and
New
it's
Jersey.
it's very, I don't know why John Byrne does this, but he loves the idea of like opening like it's a noir sort of, but he's like January 1945. The grim grip of winter holds the city tight in a cocoon of cold.
Okay,
And
Will, you got a better noir voice than that. Try again.
oh, sorry. I apologize for our
Yeah,
noir fans out there.
yeah.
January 1945. The grim grip of winter holds the city tight in a cocoon of cold. And then they say things like, the sound of rubber tires on snow-slicked pavement cuts the air with a banshee wail. And we see that we are in a high-speed pursuit with the Joker and Batman and Robin. And Joker, because it's the 1940s, he's in the Joker mobile. So it's just it's a Studebaker with the Joker's face on the front.
Is it
So
just like bright purple?
Yes, and it's so gaudy, and it's great. But he's driving along. The cops are trying to chase him, and he like shoots out like oil slick. Like he's got all kinds of gadgets because I'm pretty sure every Batman villain back then had their own version of the Batmobile. I'm fairly certain, like like
Pretty
some kind of
much.
getaway car, especially in the 50s. But he puts away some oil slick, and the cops are like, he's getting away. And then all of a sudden, the Batmobile, and it actually has a license plate Bat2, like Bat-2 on the
Which implies
on the
that he
back.
had to get it registered with the state.
Yeah, like at the DMV, he had to go.
Batman waiting in the DMV. Can I see some ID?
Oh no,
No.
he sends Alfred. He sends Alfred to do that for sure. He just puts him in a domino mask and sends him on that. But yeah, the Batmobile comes in. It's cleaning it up. There's like wipers on the front that cleans away the oil as they're moving, almost like a Zamboni. And it's really fun. Like you get like
Just a Roomba? It's a Batmobile Roomba?
yeah, yeah, exactly like that. So they chase the Joker all the way to the docks, and they're like, "We got him now, Batman. He's trapped." And the thing I like about this, again, it's very colorful. Like it's very like, "Holy halibut, Batman! Like, how are we gonna get through this?" That's right, old chum. It's a real sticky situation we have ourselves here today. Like it's just superhero. There's no like extra like nuance to it. It's just, well, I have my utility belt with every sort of precautionary measure there is, you know? So
Shark repellents.
I think it's somewhere in there. It has to be.
Do
But
they
the
show
Joker,
Robin's little boy dick poking through like Burt Ward?
no, thankfully not. Thankfully, he does not, but he does
Good.
have the pixie boots and the shorts, which I appreciate, which is time accurate. Robin is, of course, Dick Grayson, but the Joker literally gets like he hits the ejector seat and he gets away, and it just makes like a big spring, like it's just a huge spring comes out of the car, and he just goes straight up and parachutes away.
Has there ever been like an actual ejector seat in like a car? Because I know it might be like a thing in like some fighter jets. I
Yes,
guess
in
is
fighter
where it
jets,
comes
it's
from.
a real thing,
But is it
not
in anything else?
No, there's
There's
definitely
no
not.
way.
It's just called jumping out of your car. But basically, Robin's like, "Dang it, we lost him," and they're investigating the car, and Batman comes along a little clue. And I'm gonna save that for later, just to kind of keep things narratively interesting. But he says, very interesting, this thing he found. And he's not showing Robin, which is very on point for Batman somehow not being able to trust his family. But I digress, because after that, the car is set to explode, so they jump into the water. And where do we jump after we see that they survive? We are in Nazi Germany, baby. Captain America's fighting the Nazis with Bucky and Sergeant Rock from DC Comics, like All-Star Commandos, which was an actual comic that they printed back in the 1940s. Like, that was their Captain America / Nick Fury.
Who is Sergeant Rock, Google?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the way they're showing it, it's like Sergeant Rock, and I guess it kind of looks like the Howling Commandos, or it could be the Losers. which were also like a published cast of characters. It's pretty interesting, but basically, like I'll just show it here, and maybe we can put it up later. Like Captain America is basically fighting like a technodrome. Like it's a giant wheel with like guns and cannons on it, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Like,
It's a big wheel. It's the Nazi big wheel.
right, there's just like some fucking Himmler type of guy up top on a trike, just like
Wait, isn't there also like a Fantastic Four villain that like is just like a wheel?
I think yes, there's something like that, but basically it's a giant wheel and everybody's freaking out like, how are we gonna do this? And Captain America's like, don't worry, I'm the main character. So he jumps through and he's used his super steroids, and he realized now there's a lot of moving gears on this wheel. So he just shoves his shield right into one of the gears. He's like, nothing can break my adamantium shield or vibranium. No, it doesn't break, but it should, because that's a dumbass idea. But he puts it in, and it basically breaks the whole thing, and it falls on its side, and all the Nazis just surrender.
Curse you, Captain America!
Yes, that's exactly the vibe of this book right here. And then Sergeant Rock is like, ooh, boy, thanks there, Cap. Anyway, while you were doing all that and taking away this, like, big wheel, you also got a letter from the Pentagon or whatever, just saying that they need you back stateside. It's like, what? Don't they need me here fighting Ratsies? Which is what they called them. They called Nazis Ratsies. Which
Was that an
I guess
actual thing?
I think it was. As someone who is into history, I definitely think that was like a propaganda thing, like Kraut and some other things
Right.
of people of different races that I'm not gonna repeat.
But here's the thing: I've heard Kraut.
Yeah.
I've heard. Not heard of Razzies. This stupid. Also, I looked it up. Apparently, Sergeant Rock has a comic of Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead that Bruce Campbell is a writing credit on.
Oh, cool. So he kind of did some work there. But anyway, Captain America, he looks at the letter, and Bucky's like, gee willikers, what is it, Cap? And he's like, something that I'll tell you about later. So already the superheroes are not like sharing shit with their sidekicks because they don't trust them because they're like 12. So I guess,
Bucky, you're 12. You're old enough to be drafted.
yeah, I'm old enough to fight in a war, but not old enough to hold government secrets. It's like, fair enough. That is definitely the America we fight for every day.
I do want to see Kid Bucky in some version of the MCU, in some multiverse. I think that would be really funny.
Oh, can you imagine they do what they did for like comic accurate Wolverine, but they just have a
don't
kid's
do
body?
that.
No, they do
Skip someone else.
a kid's body in Sebastian Stan's face, and they de-age him. I would be happy. I could die happy if they did that.
No, don't. That is not what I meant. Marvel, if you
me.
ever watch this, you won't. But if you do my idea, not Will's.
Okay. So anyway, they fly stateside, and apparently they're told by the top brass, Cap, you gotta head to Gotham. So they're flying, and they are just kind of reaching Gotham's airspace, and Bucky's like, man, must be pretty intense for them to have us back. Don't they know there's a war going on? And he's like, shut up. You're kind of not as, fun to have around as Robin. He doesn't say that. I'm saying that. But they're about to land when they get something from air traffic control. Apparently, there's another plane in the air, and it's been hijacked. So Captain America's like, I gotta jump into action. So he thinks to himself, well, I'm just gonna jump out of the plane, no parachute, and I'm just gonna land on the plane naturally and not have any issues. I'm like, you're moving pretty fast there, Cap. I just need you to take a hot minute to think about this.
That's a normal Captain America thing. Does it in the Winter Soldier.
Yes, he does it in the Winter Soldier. He does it, well, he has a parachute in the Avengers. I'll give him that. He has a parachute there. Pretty much everywhere else, he is just hoping that God and gravity are on his side. But he is told by Bucky, be careful. He's like, I got this. Also, I think his reasoning is, I wear my shield on my back sometimes, so I can't wear a shield and a parachute on my back at the same time. I'm like, okay.
You could figure that out.
Yeah. So he
figure
goes,
that out.
Geronimo! Like, he literally jumps out, like, full spread and goes, Geronimo! And just goes flying towards it. And he's hanging on by a wire, and he's like, oh my goodness. And the Nazis are like, oh my goodness. I actually don't know if they're Nazis, but they're crooks. But they just start, like, shooting at him from outside the window of the plane, and he's like, thank goodness they're not shooting super close because they're worried that they'll destroy the plane's wings. And then they snap whatever wire he was holding on to. He's like, blast! And he's holding on by a thread. And it's like, oh no, how's Cap gonna make it out of this one?
My crazy, dangerous plan was crazy and dangerous.
Yeah. So then suddenly, a smoke bomb hits the plane. And then a hand grabs around Captain America's wrist, and this is a shot I actually really like. This is one of the more iconic shots of it. We see Batman being held aloft, hanging ladder from the bat plane, grabbing Captain America, just saying, I've got you now, chum. Like, and just smiling, because they don't have to do the crossover thing where, like, oh, we're enemies, I gotta fight you. You know, like, it's like, oh, you're a superhero, I'm a superhero, surely we can work together.
And that is refreshing. I will say that there's so many... Everyone who interacts with Batman always fights him, and I'm like, all right.
Yes. But yeah, I love it because it is, like, they're, like, square-jawed, and they're super colorful. And it's just like, oh shit, here it comes. And Robin is flying the bat plane, and he's just like, Meow.
I'm 12.
I'm 12, and I don't have an official pilot's license.
It's the 1940s. Who cares?
Nobody has a pilot's license.
At this point, I'm still working in the factory.
Yeah, it is off
right?
time.
I don't know when that ended.
Yeah, so they're hanging aloft from the bat plane, and the bat plane has, like, 2 propellers on it. I thought it was the Batcopter at first, but it wouldn't have made sense. But basically, they then, Cap and Batman together, make their way onto the plane, and they just kick everybody's ass. Like, the monologue here, like, the inner monologue is definitely, like, they say, what follows can barely be called a fight. The duo of costume crime fighters have hurled themselves into a confined space where the opposition outnumbers them by 4-1. And thus, if any descriptive term were to be used in this confrontation, it would not be fight. Massacre, perhaps, but for Batman and Captain America, this is hardly a fight. And, like, they're, like, doing combo moves, like, they're both hitting people without looking. Like, they're, like, perfectly in sync. Like, it's like, did we just become best friends? Yeah? What's your favorite thing to do? Fight crime? Me too. So, again, it's just very fun because they're just, like, top of their game. Like, it's very, like, Batman Brave and the Bold, like, when I look at it.
Like, this definitely is, like, there are comic books that are made for adults or, like, older fans, and there are comic books that are made for 7-year-olds.
Yeah, I would say
this feels like the latter.
Right. Well, you'll see, because when they take out all the goons, they see who was a hostage in the plane. And who is it other than frickin' Robert Oppenheimer?
So that's why you're talking about Oppenheimer right before this recording.
Well, I just thought it would be interesting considering what's going on. But for those of you who don't know, AJ, could you tell the boys and girls and all the folks at home, who is Robert Oppenheimer in relation to the history of the world?
Cillian Murphy kills the world, created bomb killed world, bomb killed Japan, the atomic bomb. He did that. I'm smart.
So these goons were kidnapping basically the father of the atomic bomb. Then they were like, what would they want with a nuclear physicist? So they interrogate them.
Bad guy want with a nuclear physicist? Like, come on.
Exactly. They try to interrogate the goons. It's like, who hired you? And he's like, I ain't telling you nothing. And then all of a sudden, they all start laughing. They all start dying of laughter. And the thing is, like, they all start laughing, and Bucky's like, what the heck's happening?
Oh,
And
Bucky
Batman's
came with? Okay.
yeah,
I
well,
didn't
they
pick that up.
landed. They all landed and interrogated them. But Batman says, I was afraid of this. A skin patch. An experimental method of leaking slow poison into someone's body. And Bucky goes, holy cow, but who'd be ruthless enough to do that? Like, he's like, oh my god.
You fight Nazis every day, Bucky.
Well, they
Plenty
haven't.
of people ruthless to do that.
I don't think Bucky's seen Doc Howe yet. That's all I'm saying. I think right now he's just like, they're dirty Nazis, every single one of them. They want to take over the world. I don't think he knows the racial implications just yet. But they're basically like, goodness gracious, the Joker must be behind this. But Batman, the thing I find interesting about this, he says, I was afraid this would happen. Then why wouldn't you check? We lost like 10 people. They're goons, but 10 people are dead. You didn't care to check, Batman?
I mean, it's whenever you put Batman in the 1940s, he does not care about casualties, huh?
He cares about the innocent. That's what he cares about. But Batman and Captain America both have hunches. So Robert Oppenheimer had an attempted kidnapping, and it seems like they have to go investigate. So Robin's like, what's going on? It's like Batman says, I'll tell you when you're older. And he pushes him out of the room and says, bye, Cap. And Cap's like, hey, see you, Batman. We're all good friends. And he says, till we meet again. And Bucky goes, did you see the way Robin kept looking at me, Cap? Guess he knows who's got the better partner and the more exciting lifestyle. And then we immediately show Bucky is in the waiting room while Captain is in the briefing room.
The more exciting lifestyle.
Yeah, and then he's just there, just like twiddling his thumbs while everybody else is actually getting stuff done. He's like, any day my number's gonna come up.
Any day the comic writers are gonna kill me off and bring me back as an evil guy.
God, I can't wait to grow my hair out and have just only dominant left hand from now on.
Eyeshadow and yeah. Wait, so what was the clue that you omitted earlier in the story?
Well, it was the Joker. His car and his stolen goods had trace amounts of plutonium and uranium, all kinds of radioactive materials that would kill the Joker if he had opened them up and exposed them, but it only had trace amounts because he didn't open what packages he was supposed to be getting.
I see. I understand.
So he's picking things up, and it seems that he has a benefactor, but basically, the U.S. government, we got a couple of, well, we'll see. We got a couple of U.S. officials talking to Captain America, and they say, Cap, I gotta say, we are suspicious, to say the least, on who could have known about what was happening with the Gotham Project, because I guess they want to say the Gotham Project instead of the Manhattan Project, which I don't love, but because here's the thing, the Manhattan Project didn't take place in Manhattan. It was in the desert.
Yeah, I guess why did they call it the Manhattan Project? And because
doesn't matter.
Someone was from Manhattan?
Yeah, but I guess through this, they immediately assume it's like, well, who could have known? Well, maybe it was someone funding the project, like Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne, maybe he's a bit of a communist or something like that. We all saw the movie Oppenheimer. The U.S. government is paranoid, to say the least.
Like Robert, he's a commie. He's a dirty commie.
Right. But basically they say, well, it could have been Bruce Wayne. He funded the nuclear weapons project quite a bit, and he would have some info to go with it. So maybe he
in this
tipped
canon,
off the Joker.
In this canon, Batman funded the nuclear project.
Yes. Batman doesn't use guns, but he doesn't care about weapons of mass destruction that will destroy...
That is certainly a choice, huh?
Yep. Okay. Crazy thing, John Byrne. 1940s Batman.
Batman being like, I'd like to see the world burn.
Well,
you know? Some men just like to watch the world burn. Yeah, I do, Alfred. It's me. I would like everyone to die now.
Yeah. So, we don't have time to unpack all of that. But
Oh my god.
he definitely did fund something that would basically affect the entire world for generations to come. So Captain America, as Corporal Steve Rogers, is tasked with having
He's only a
to be a
corporal?
liaison.
Wait, why is he?
Yeah, well,
He's not
in the
even a
comics,
captain.
well, that's the thing. Captain America is his moniker. His actual military rank is Corporal Steve Rogers.
That's dumb.
Yeah,
Wait, so it's
tell
not
me
like a
about
secret
it.
identity, is it?
It kind of is.
Oh, he's like
Back then. Yeah, back
Corporal
then,
Steve
Captain
Rogers,
America
but I'm
was
secretly Captain America.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, well, that was back in the day when they were really worried about it. But then when he got out of the ice, everyone was like, well, we already kind of knew who you were because they released that information. So you could just be Steve Rogers all the time. We don't really care. Like literally just Stan Lee eating a hoagie, watching Captain America fight Kang or whatever. Will just be like, great job, Steve. It'll just like, thank you, citizen. Have a good day. Have one on me.
That's so weird. And he just happens to have a little kid with him all the time.
Yeah.
Also, weird tangent. What is the connection between Steve and Bucky in the comics? Obviously, in the movies, they're like best friends. They grew up together. But like with little kid Bucky.
Side tangent. Basically, Bucky was like an army brat. So he grew up on a military base, but both his mom and dad died. So the military base, instead of like sending him to an orphanage, kind of adopted him. And then by like 16, they were kind of like, yeah, he's just like hanging around and he's trained and he's hung out with all of us, so he can go fight a war.
So obviously, like his mom was like a nurse because women can't be soldiers in this time.
Yeah, or like somebody who sends mail. Could have been that. Sure.
Oh, sure, like a secretary.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, like a couple of generals are just like, tail Bruce Wayne. If he does anything suspicious, take him down. And so he's like, you got it. And of course, Batman, just being like, knowing that he's being tailed all the time, is just like, hey, Steve, well, I guess we can just hang out. And I think it's like 5 straight days, or I think it's 3 straight days of just doing nothing. Like, he's just doing all the boring Bruce Wayne shit. Like, he's playing racquetball and he's going out with pretty girls and he's driving around and just enjoying life.
Dude, he must have been going like crazy. He must be like, gotta get back out there.
Yeah, well, I think Dick definitely is, because he's just like, what are we doing? Joker's out there with like trying to get Oppenheimer and stuff. And Bruce is like, I know, but
the Red Scare.
The Red Scare. We can't worry about this because this Steve Rogers fella won't stop tailing us. But I'll tell you what I am gonna do. I'm going to go to Wayne Tower tonight so that I can pick up on some clues. Because if there's one thing I have, it's a date with the Joker. Dun, dun, dun. And Captain America is sitting right outside the window to just hear the words. It's like, well, I'm just going to have to find a way to shed Private Rogers and keep my appointment with the Joker. And he's
Private Rogers?
Private, yes.
Date with the Joker, so it's already canon that like Joker and him are like a thing.
It's a turn of phrase, but yes, yeah. Like, that's definitely what Steve is thinking, like, ooh, an appointment with the Joker. Oh, so they're gay. Oh.
They're gay. Kill him.
Right, because it's the 40s.
The 40s.
Right. But basically, Bruce goes out into town, and then Captain America, he's still in his Steve Rogers outfit, he sneaks along and follows him by tailing on the back of his car, just hanging on. Like, in the back, like that's supposed to be stealthy.
Like,
what?
Visible in the back windshield?
Yes. Which I just think, wow, really, really missed it on that one, Batman.
Dude, imagine you're driving. You're, like, driving down the highway. You're, like, not even Batman. You're a normal guy. And you just look in your rearview mirror, and there's a man on your car.
It's like, I'm going to address that later. Well, Batman's a cool customer, so he's like, oh, well, the city life is pretty swanky.
I think I would scream.
But not Batman. But basically, he makes his way to Wayne Tower. He has to look through some files. So he goes into his office, and then Steve confronts him. It's like, all right, there, you traitor, I'll have those documents. And then they get into a fight. Captain America tries to strike him, and Bruce Wayne does like a bob and weave and does like a karate kick, and it's like they're doing moves and counter moves and attacks and counter attacks, and they're
Hold on,
perfectly
old
matched.
chum, let me get my blowjob handles out.
And then that's when he's like, what? Oh, you're Batman. I'm Captain America. Like, they're both like, there's literally a moment because they realize they're just so evenly matched. It's like, how is Private Rogers so well trained in these moves? It's like, how is a loaf like Bruce Wayne so articulate with his kicks? And,
He plays
and then
racquetball,
they're both,
man.
yeah, they're both literally just like, oh my gosh, what egg on my face that I didn't realize that you were Captain America. Aw, shucks. Like, it's literally not even a page of them fighting. It's like, well, now that we know who each other are, let's get to work. They shake hands, and, like, there's just that one scene of where they had to fight because they have to, but besides that, it was fine. Also, we learn the Joker's benefactor. It's Red Skull.
Yeah,
like, it's straight up Red Skull. I'm not sure if we can fully show this, but I'm going to. Just because it's the page, and we don't condone Nazis, I don't feel like I should have to say that. But I will.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But, like, literally...
I mean, you already did show, like, a swastika on one of the other pages, but yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Disclaimer, Nazis are terrible, terrible people.
Yes. So, literally, Red Skull, this is the look. Like, just a sweatsuit with a swastika. Like, that's the look they went with. Time to get my jog. Right, because he's like, I need to get my steps in while I'm trying to conquer the world. But he's basically paying Joker to gather different materials and eventually the actual nuclear bomb itself, Fat Boy, to actually, have for themselves. So what happens is Joker does exactly that. He steals the nuclear weapon as it's being transported. And we get this really cool image with Batman, Robin, Captain America, and Bucky in the Batcave. It's nothing special, but I do like it. This page is actually in honor of Dick Sprang and his art, which I think is pretty cool. Again, if we can get like a better image of it later. But I like it a lot.
We'll try to edit in the images that are all here.
It's nothing special, but I just think it's really cool. Like, you have the Joker card, you have the big penny, you have the Bat plane, you have, I believe, a Bat submarine, the Batmobile, the giant T-Rex, and you got Alfred bringing up like muffins and such. So all speed ahead. So they're sort of figuring out a plan, and they say, well, it seems like the nuclear warhead has been intercepted. Maybe we should split up. And so they decide Captain America is going to go with Robin, and then Bucky is going to go with Batman. So Commissioner Gordon puts up the signal, Robin shows up, and then Captain America comes flying through the window, and Gordon, who I guess is informed about the Gotham Project, or at least that there's a huge military situation going on at the moment. That is a bit of an emergency.
Commissioner of the entire city.
Right, he's the commissioner of a large state area. He just goes, Captain America, boy, this is a great honor, sir. I've heard you were in Gotham, but no one could confirm it. Like, he's a huge fan of Captain America, which, to be fair, everyone's going to be, especially in wartime. Come on,
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, basically they go through and say, well, it was stolen at this place, and Captain America, tracks where it's headed and does, like, some map work to show, he's a bit of a soldier. He knows how to, like, do all this. But meanwhile, Batman and Bucky are driving in the Batmobile, and Bucky, there's something about Bucky in this where he's just a real tough hang. He's really tough to like. Because he's just like, now, this is a pretty nice wagon you got here, Batman, but it wouldn't last 3 seconds on a real battlefield. And Batman has just like such a calm smile, like he's just like, yeah, well, that's okay.
Sure, kid.
It's meant for urban warfare, not exactly for, like bombs and shells and things like that, but it has its cool merits. But they go essentially
you got
to
a
this
cool
warehouse.
car, but I get to wait in waiting rooms all the time.
Yeah,
Who
I
has
get
the better life?
Yeah,
That's
I
what I
get to
thought.
commit war. This car is pretty cool, but I get to perform war crimes on the daily. So I'm pretty sure, the
Pretty cool.
Geneva Convention.
More like Geneva
I
suggestion.
yeah,
I
I
stole
make
that
Nazis dig their
from
own
Legends of the
graves
Adventures.
constantly. I'm 12 years old. I'm making people dig their own graves and then shoot them and put them
I
in
use
it.
a gun.
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with the actions I take. It's how I was raised. I'm a child soldier. But they make their way to a warehouse. They fight a couple of goons, and then a gas goes off, and we get this great little. I guess it's the Red Skull, but in like a breakfast at Tiffany's sort of cigarette. Like he ignites some sort of gas here, and he knocks out Bucky and Batman. Batman tries to like waft his cape to sort of keep him from inhaling some of the smoke, but they both pass out. Meanwhile, they happen upon Cap and Robin. They happen upon a shore patrol, and they find that they're dead. And instead of the laughing gas that makes them smile, their faces basically look like red skulls. So apparently, Red Skull has some sort of gas that can just like deteriorate your face that only he can take. But
both of those are horrifying.
yeah,
Wait, so
they
they killed Batman and Bucky then because he just used that gas on them. They're dead.
No, that was just basic knockout gas. With this one, they're basically in like a warehouse, and they have Bucky and Batman just tied up, and it's like a classic like Batman and Robin like trap,
right?
Where a bomb's gonna go off and they're gonna leave, and Red Skull is basically just like, well, I would just shoot you in the head or kill you while you're unconscious, but I do want to prove to the Joker that I can kill you where he has failed so many times. Anyway, ta-ta, bye-bye now. And they're just going away, and Bucky's giving him the shit,
Every episode of the 1960s Batman, every single one.
Yeah, and Bucky's trying to escape. It's like, these ropes are too tight for me to get out. How about you, Batman? Batman? And Batman's gone. Like, as a
leaves
bomb's
Bucky there
ticking.
to die.
That would be hilarious. That's not what happens. But it literally just goes, how about you, Batman? Batman? And then we see. So it would almost be hilarious if Batman like came along later. It's like, where's Bucky? He didn't make it.
I tried, but I was too late.
I tried to save him.
And then
it
like
just
looks
does
at Robin.
Like Deadpool.
Looks at Robin.
Yeah.
He was a tough egg. I know what you were saying earlier about him.
He was a tough egg.
Die.
But I guess he now knows who has the better lifestyle.
Look. I didn't kill him, but I didn't have to save him, so I didn't. I chose not to.
It was every man for himself. It's what? Batman. Batman, that's really fucked up.
Look, we were tied up with a very loose knot. If he couldn't get out, that's on him.
Yeah, well, the way that they explain it, I'll just jump to the quick. The way they explain it is that when the gas went up, he wafted his cape up to hide the fact that he put nose plugs in to sort of fight the gas. So when he was being tied up and acting like he was unconscious, when they were putting the ropes on, he was flexing his muscles so hard that later they would be loose when he let go. So the ropes were too big. That is legitimately
a thing. Like,
right.
That, like some people do, like escape artists and stuff. But why not? But why not just punch?
Oh.
Why pretend sleep? One could have went, I'm fine, and punch. Well, why did he have to let them tie him up at all? Just he could beat a couple goons.
Yeah,
maybe Red Skull would have given him a hard time, but like.
Yeah, I think he needed Red Skull to at least monologue a little bit, because I think they give the location of where they're headed. I think that was the thing.
That's fair.
So he needed to do like a Batman thing, which I allow. But again, I'm loving this because it's just like, it's all the greatest hits. Like, you can tell that John Byrne is a fan of like all this old shit. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we get to see something cool. Cap and Robin together on a motorcycle. No sidecar. Robin is in the back, but it's pretty cool because it's a
Holding on to
bat
Batman's
cycle.
waist. Like
Yeah,
a girlfriend.
on Cap's waist, but yes.
Oh, Cap's waist.
I think he has his hands on the back of the bike. Like, he doesn't have his hands wrapped around him.
The shield is just in his face, and he, like, every time there's like a bump, he like smashes his nose into the shield.
Yeah, just yeah, sorry, chum. Sorry, chum. Sorry, chum. But yeah. Joker has a nuclear warhead. He breaks into an airspace, and he's about to hijack a plane. And that's when the Red Skull and Joker finally meet. And by the way, Joker has not seen the Red Skull up to this point, so this is the first time that he's a skull man. Like, he just thought he was some guy in, like, a mask. And then, like, literally, when they meet, and he's sort of, he's like, yuck! It's like, I have, like, bleach white skin, but you have no skin.
At least I have that's not the right voice, but you get the idea. At least I have skin!
Like, yeah, that was like a Skeletor's. At least I have skin, Red Skull.
Well, at least I have skin! That's closer. It's closer.
Yeah. I got skin in the game. But Joker is, like, perturbed because he's, like, trying to be on a tight schedule. Like, this is a Joker who actually is, like, he's all for fun and games, but he's also like, I kind of need to get this shit done. Like, I know that Batman and Robin are, like, on my tail, so I need to do this. And he's like, well, you'll get paid, Joker, or we can take you back to Germany, where you can live as a king, and you are so white that you would hit so many ranks of the Third Reich that we would love you there. You reach our ideals in such a way.
Your hair is obviously dyed. You might be part of the Aryan race.
Yeah, we don't know. But literally, he's like, wait, are you for real? He's like, yes, and we're going to nuke Washington, D.C., and they're going to think that we, Germany, have a functioning bomb, and so they'll naturally surrender. The morale would be shaken. So
true.
In that moment, Joker, when he's like, I'm sorry, are you for real? Like, I thought this was a Halloween costume. Are you telling me that you're a Nazi? Like a real Nazi? And literally, Red Skull is like, yeah, I thought you could kind of tell. Like, this was totally, like, I thought my cards were on the table. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe this. I was working with a Nazi the whole time? A Nazi? And
even
like,
Joker doesn't stoop so low to associate with the Nazis.
Well, he says, that mask must be cutting off the oxygen to your brain. I may be a criminal lunatic, but I'm an American criminal lunatic. I'm like, like, it's a great line. Like, I love that. Like, he's like, there's a war going on. He's like, listen, I'm all for murder and mayhem, but, like, we gotta get our boys home.
That's so... But Joker is a patriot?
Yes, dude, these colors don't run on Joker, I tell you. They do not run.
He's like, look, Red Skull, I like murder, but, like, genocide?
Millions of people, I don't love that. There's nothing funny about that.
I kill indiscriminately. I don't care what your race, ethnicity, background is. I kill all of you.
See, maybe that's the thing. There's nothing funny about genocide. And even the Joker admits it, you know? But he literally says, keep back, boys. Funny. This creep is mine. And so they both pull out their different gases. They pull out their Red Skull gas and their Joker gas. And they both shoot each other in the face with them. And they both just cough. Because apparently it doesn't affect either of them. Their gases.
Okay.
Yeah. And the thing is,
feels like Red Skull's got like a bigger nose to like inhale stuff, but
yeah. Okay. And they fight, but then Red Skull is just like, well, I have more guys. So his goons kill Joker's goons, and they just knock him out. It's like, well, I guess we'll just do what the original plan was. He says, you'll be taken to Berlin to meet the fate that was always planned for him, to be paraded through the streets as an example of the kind of freakish monsters America has bred. So I guess that was the plan the whole time, get Joker to do it and then just flaunt him around like a jester or whatever. But
Fair enough.
yeah, anyway, the plane goes up and they start making their way. And then all of a sudden, what do we have? We have Batman, Robin, Captain America, and Bucky all in the plane. The Bat plane together, following along in like perfect line unison. I'm like, how many people can you fit into that cockpit, Batman? That's a lot of people that you're fitting in there.
I mean, it's the Batcopter. They gotta.
It's not even the Batcopter, it's the Bat plane. So I'm just like, it seems
Yeah,
almost
clear.
like it almost seems like there's 2 seats in the front, 2 in the back.
Well,
and what they do
he's got to
is
fit like Alfred and Batgirl sometimes. Or I guess at this time, Batwoman is still a thing.
Yeah, he has to fit Fat Alfred, so he has 2 seats. Because it's the era where Alfred is kind of fat.
It's thick Alfred, all right?
Right, he's dummy thick Alfred.
Yeah, dummy
He's
thick
Alfred.
Alfred.
He's
We do
Alfred.
not fat shame here.
I'm not. I'm just saying
it is
he's
a cartoon
fat.
character, so we can fat shame all we want. But
yeah, if Batman was fat, I would say he was fat. That's all I'm saying. Anyhow, they magnetize the Bat plane onto the Red Skull's plane, and they cut a hole with like a laser or something, and Captain America and Batman come into the plane, and Bucky and Robin can't get out in time. Like, they hit the boosters on the Red Skull's plane, so their plane goes all out of control and starts tail spinning. And Captain America goes, "The Bat plane!" And Batman goes, "Robin will handle it." And we cut to Robin and Bucky goes, "Robin, do something. I am. Come on, baby, you can do it." He's like pulling like the rudders up, just trying to like get the steering wheel to pitch.
Like Anakin Skywalker and Phantom Menace. Like, oh, you can do it. Oh, come on, baby. Oh, yeah, push it, R2.
Yeah, this is just like pod racing. How about a flip? That would be cool. But we see that the Red Skull has locked himself in the basically the dropping bay for the bomb, where they sort of detach the cables and put it down, like in the historical moment Hiroshima and Nagasaki, as seen in issue 245 of World War II, which is a callback.
There we go.
Yeah, that's in canon. But basically, we have this scene where he has locked the door, and there's just like a circle window where Red Skull's just talking shit to Batman, like they're glaring at each other through the window, and Red Skull is like, "Oh, I have you, and soon I'm going to bomb the Washington, D.C. We're flying over now, and soon no one will be able to stop the Third Reich." And Batman just punches through the window. He literally just puts his fist through the window and punches him. And I'm just like, yeah, good on you, Batman. And, Cap takes out the pilots, and there's like, what's going on? This plane's going crazy. And they're trying to get it over the water, kind of like how Captain America in the first Avenger was trying to get that bomb over the water. This is not going to end with them in the ice, by the way. I'm just going to say.
Both of them end in the ice together.
No, they do not end up in the ice.
They find Batman's corpse, but Captain America...
Yeah, Batman would be dead.
Batman's dead.
Unless he's like, "That's right, chum. Through my Eastern meditations, I found a way to slow my heart rate in the ice to such a point that I could live
forever.
Live for 20 years. So just to the point where I could preserve. Red Skull
back
still
to
has
Gotham,
himself...
and Robin is like a 16-year-old Batman, and he's like,
Yeah, he's just in like a frumpy bat suit that's like loose. Anyway, we're almost at the end here. We're actually doing pretty good time. We haven't even reached an hour yet, so that's good.
Hell yeah.
Red Skull is like, "Well, I'm still gonna drop the bomb, so just you wait and see." And Joker, having woken up from being knocked out by Red Skull, starts banging on shit with a hammer. He's like, that's right, you ratsy. I smashed the mechanism so the bomb can't drop." And he's just like, "No, you fool!" And they start tussling and fighting on top of the nuclear bomb.
Tussling is my favorite word for fighting. They're going for a tussle.
And by the way, it's so stupid. Like, let me show you the other costume for Red Skull. It's just a black, uniform with red gloves and a red face. and they're fighting on top of Fat Boy.
No.
And so it starts loosening a bit, and he's having a great time. Well,
and
there's a
Robin
part
flies the Batplane into the thing, to sacrificing himself in the process.
And Bucky. And Red Skull is basically like, I've been trained by the best in all of Germany. I was meant to be a true killer. And Joker's like, funny, I've always thought to buy American myself. And I'm just like, why is Joker the hero of the story now with all these one-liners?
That's so weird.
I mean, like, it's weird because we are, like, rooting for Joker at this moment because he is fighting a Nazi.
But also he helped the Nazi and did kill people.
Well, Poe Buddy's nerfing. Let's just get that straight.
I guess that's one way to put it, huh?
Yeah, and so they fight so much over the bomb that it loosens, and they start falling
with style.
They start falling with style into the ocean. And they just go, no. And it's almost like a Looney Tunes bit. Like, I guarantee. I almost wanted them to have a point where they look down, look at each other, and then fall. They hover, and then they fall. Yeah, and then we see, just in all its glory, a real nuclear ass explosion off the coast of Washington, D.C. I know,
That's
which
emotional.
At that point, I would have been like, well, hopefully Robin and Bucky weren't looking at it.
I mean, if it's off the coast, that's still gonna happen. That's like a tsunami at the very least.
I know, well, I think we're moving so fast, we're over the Atlantic right now. Like, this plane is, like, super jacked and super fast. So they barely get away in the Batplane. Cap and Batman are just like, it's like, well, we better call in to the boys. And Robin's just like, Batman, what happened? There's no more sky. The sky's on fire.
There's no more sky. Yeah. People are gonna die from this.
Yeah, that's not what he says, but he's just like, Jesus Christ, Batman, what the fuck is going on? You should have told me what they had.
Holy fuck, Batman!
And I forget what they say, but everyone's like super smiley, but they're like, what was that? And Captain America says, the dawn of a new age, Bucky. A wondrous, terrible age. I'm just like, well, shit, Jesus Christ. How apt. And then Batman to top it all
Shut
off.
up, Robert.
Yeah, Oppenheimer's in the background. Well, it seems that we have all... He's not German. He says, well, It seems that we have all become death. And Bucky's just like, I'm gonna go get attached to a plane that crashes.
Oh my God.
But Batman says, but at least we've seen the last of the Joker and the Red Skull. And Captain America looks at him like, you don't really believe that, do you? Like, are you fucking stupid?
I mean,
and he's just, yeah.
They were in a nuclear explosion. It's a valid thought. It's a valid thought.
Yes, but I do think it's funny how Captain America's like, you don't believe that, do you? It's like, well, they were in a nuclear explosion and they fell into the water right next to it. So yes, I do, Captain. Perhaps you would like to debate on other things, such as 2 + 2 = 4.
You moron.
Yes. Don't you ever step to me like that. Don't you ever correct me in front of Robin again. I will end you. Like, he becomes his Superman. Like, Captain America becomes his Superman of just like, nobody should have that much power.
Oh my God.
Even though he's a normal man who has steroids in him.
Yeah.
But anyway, we get a brief epilogue after all that's happened. And what we see is Batman and Robin are in the North Atlantic Ocean 20 years later. And it's Batman 2 and Robin 2. We see Bruce Wayne Jr. and Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson is Batman, and Bruce's son, Bruce, are searching for something in the North Atlantic when all of a sudden they come across this iceberg. And what do they find? The body of Captain America. and he wakes up, and the first thing he goes is, "Bucky, no!" He wakes up and he still has like the sad like Vietnam flashback, like it just happened.
Wait. Let me get a couple of things. So they did not establish that Captain America fell into the ice in this story.
No, but they have an epilogue where it's like it still happened.
Right, and it's Dick Grayson Batman.
Yeah, it's Dick Grayson Batman now, and then it's Bruce Wayne's son, who I guess is with Selena Kyle.
Bruce Wayne.
Yes, Bruce Wayne Jr. And so they resuscitate Cap, and he does the thing that Captain America always does, which is "Bucky, no!" when he wakes up, like he always wakes up because he just experienced it. And it's like, what's going on? Batman? Robin? It's like, well, actually, you've been asleep a long time, chum. And they bring him back to base, and it's like a very like golden age ending of like, well, does the world still need a Captain America? And then old Bruce and even older Alfred come out, and they just say, well, old chum, now more than ever. Yay! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
And Bucky's dead.
And Bucky is dead. Like it's like oh no, he's still dead though. He that still happened.
Right.
And that is the end of the Batman Captain America story by John Byrne.
That is a pardon my pun, batshit crazy ending.
Yeah, well, it's an epilogue, so you can take just the ending, or you can take what they add at the end. That one, I think, is just more like, that's how the Avengers found him, so they were doing a thing. But I like this book a lot, mainly because it does kind of go back to that golden age sort of brand of storytelling.
Sure.
It's very colorful. The art, if we're able to put any of it up, it's so good, guys. Like, you would love it. It's really rich. I love that Joker is just like, America, tried and true.
I love that. It's like, I might be a killer, sociopathic Joker man, but goddamn it, I'm an American.
Yeah, and I'm proud to be an American. Yeah.
Where at least I know I'm free.
He takes off his clothes. He's got a mankini that's just the American flag.
It's the Jared Leto version of the Joker, but instead of like weird tattoos, just a bald eagle across his chest.
Yeah, it's like what if instead of Joker he was Freak Joker? What if instead of Joker it was American Joker? and he's just like, well, we need to support the troops. We do.
It's just Joker in an Uncle Sam costume, let's be honest.
Yeah, that is definitely the vibe. I also like that everyone's just on good terms. As soon as like they are Batman and Captain America together, everything's fine. There's never an argument. They just say, well, you go that way, I'll go this way, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And they never do they ever build off this comic? I'm not maybe not specifically the epilogue, but like this is like pretty much a single issue, one and done type deal.
Yeah, this was a single issue crossover. Yeah, John Byrne, he just did one of these. It was an Elseworlds comic, which Elseworlds was usually just a one and done story.
Right.
Very rarely would they ever do like another one. But yeah, that's the crazy thing. Like, they do a lot of fun stuff in this, but I think the one thing that does like make it like a cherry on top is just the Joker part, and then where Batman escapes. Like, that's the most Batman thing I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah.
Like, of course he escaped that way. Yeah, and then he
Cocaine
just flexed. I flexed so hard that the ropes were loose when I stopped flexing. So I was able to escape like nothing.
That is the thing that, like, when I was a kid, I had this weird guidebook that was like, how to get out of situations that you'll never be in. And one was like, how to get out of being kidnapped. And it was like, flex your wrists because it'll make it like a little bit looser, so you might be able to slip your arms out or whatever. And
yeah, which is why people like dislocate their fingers and stuff like that when they're in like handcuffs. But yeah, I really like this. It's not like it's a crazy story. I think this is finally a story that I think is a little bit more digestible for you. All things considered.
I mean, what are you trying to say?
Well, I
can't digest? I'll have you know I can digest.
when it came to the
Many
Ultimates
things.
and actually a video that we did not publish, you were not able to handle it.
Did we not publish the Ultimates?
Well, we published the Ultimates. We didn't publish Daredevil, which I guess that's out there now. We'll cut that.
We didn't publish Daredevil. That's right.
Which is
I don't know what
fine.
happened to that video. I think we lost the recording.
I think it's okay that we didn't record Daredevil.
It's okay.
But yeah, I give this, since it's not the freak scale, I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10. It's a very solid story.
It is for what it is trying to be, I think it's a very good story. Like, it is trying to really get into those 60s or 40s, like those golden age vibes of there's gonna be a crazy big villain and a weird team up, and everything's gonna go right in the end. Like, yeah, for what it is, it's, you know, pretty perfect. Like, it's exactly what it was trying to be. But
yeah, and there's good character moments, like the I didn't tell you about this one, but the Red Skull, like one of his cronies, is like, "Sir, isn't it a little strange? I don't mean to offend you, but isn't the Joker like chaotic and unreliable?" It's like, "How dare you question me?" And he uses his Red Skull gas and just kills him. Like that's just like, okay, he asked one question. You just killed him, you freaking Nazi.
he asked one question, a valid question.
Yeah. And I like that.
I mean, a dead Nazi's a good Nazi, so.
Right. I do like that Bucky is just annoying. Meanwhile, Robin, to be fair, doesn't have a personality in this. He's just Robin. But Bucky is just like, well, this isn't as cool as fighting in a war-torn Germany.
It does seem like the writer favors Batman by a hair.
Yes, he respects both, but you can tell that this is definitely more of like what a Batman story would be.
Right, it's like this would be on an episode of Batman with like
Yes.
you can, like, it would be like, oh, season 2 of Batman, episode 5, Captain America, instead of like an episode of Captain America where Batman cameos, like,
right,
because Batman gets like the final punch against one of them, and he's the smart one, and Robin is cool, but Bucky kind of sucks. Like,
yeah,
not in a major way, because, you know, Captain America's still cool, obviously, but like,
yeah,
it's enough.
But no, I think the characterization is all there. But yeah, I would definitely say if you can find a copy of this, read it. But yeah, it's you won't be disappointed if you like these type of stories. But yeah, until next time, we are planning to do some more stuff. We're trying to shoot some videos back to back. But until next time, can't wait to see you. This is Chaotic Crossover. I'm Will.
I'm AJ, and have a great night, or day, or
Keep
morning,
reading.
whatever you're having. Have a great one.
Sleep with your friends.
Consensually.
Yes.
Goodbye!
Bye!